Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Bart Houlahan. I am one of the co-founders of B Lab, the nonprofit behind the B Corporation movement. First, let me send my regrets for not being with you there in person. Hong Kong is one of my favorite cities in the world. I've been visiting there for several decades, and I am honestly heartbroken by what's happening on the ground there. Please, please, please know that I stand with you in spirit, and I genuinely hope to be back with you sometime very soon. What I'd love to do today is perhaps spend 15 minutes asking the question, what is the purpose of business? And whether we need to redesign the corporation as we move deeper into the 21st century, because truthfully, capitalism, the economic system of the last century, is facing an unprecedented crisis. We left a summer where the Amazon was on fire, the Bahamas were underwater, and we were warned that we were headed towards a climate crisis that perhaps could kill off more than 1 million species. Fast forward to the fall, Venice is facing a 50-year flood, and Australia has unprecedented wildfires. At the same time, inequality is accelerating across the globe. We're in a situation where 70% of the world's population has less than 3% of assets. And in fact, 42 individuals now have more wealth than half the population. In an interconnected world, this disparity of wealth is leading, not surprisingly, to civil unrest, whether it be in Lebanon, or India, or London, or France, and of course our beloved Hong Kong. We at B Lab are working with over 100,000 companies, focusing on really what the purpose of business is and whether we need to question the role of business in society. Do we need something more from our business leaders at this unprecedented time? And in fact, do we need to redefine success in business so that our companies compete not just to be best in the world, but best for the world? We are working to build a movement of people using business as a force for good to fundamentally create a more inclusive and regenerative economy that creates a shared and durable prosperity for everyone. That is our vision here at B Lab. And in fact, our approach is really quite simple. We believe in the power of leaders. We look for best-in-class companies all over the globe whom we certify as B corporations. We then create tools for the millions of companies that are inspired by these leaders so that they can be more like a B corporation. And ultimately, we hope to drive billions of people to invest in, buy from, and work for these businesses. The end game, as I said, is a shared and durable prosperity. Now, if you're unfamiliar with the certification, the easiest way to think about it is BCore Certification is to business what fair trade is to coffee, or LEED certification is to a building. We are a corporate certification that looks at the whole. To be certified as a B Corp, you must do 3 things. You must first take and pass an impact assessment called the B Impact Assessment. It evaluates your impact on all of your stakeholders, workers, community, consumers, the environment, and your governance practices. If you pass that test, your second requirement is you must rewrite your corporate governing documents so that you're legally required to consider your stakeholders. The third and final requirement is you must be transparent with your impact report, not only demonstrating your areas of excellence, but areas for improvement. If you do those 3 things, you can join this community of leaders. We now have over 3,100 certified B corporations. They're from 150 different industries, 80 different countries, with one commonality. They all are using business as a force for good. The community is beautifully diverse by geography, by industry, and by size. We range from multi-billion-dollar companies down to sole proprietors. Some examples include Natura Cosmetics, who has lifted 2 million women out of poverty down in Brazil by selling beautiful organic and natural cosmetics. Across to Roshan, down in the left-hand corner, from Afghanistan, who has provided access to cellular service to millions of Afghanis. We have some of the leaders of the corporate social responsibility movement, like Ben & Jerry's or Patagonia. We have leading media companies like the Guardian Media Group out of London or Participant Media. We have banks like Triodos out of Amsterdam, and even new economy companies like Kickstarter or AltSchool. The commonality, again, is all of these companies are using their business to create change. We've been doing this for about 13 years. The community has grown beautifully, and as a result, we're getting growing interest from large multinationals, ranging from Coca-Cola, who is certified innocent, or Gap, who is certified Athleta, or Procter & Gamble, who is certified New Chapter. Two standouts, Unilever now for years has buying certified B corporations. They now have more than a half dozen in their portfolio. And Danone has declared that Danone Group will be certified as a B corporation by 2030. And they've methodically been certifying their subsidiaries now for a few years. I believe more than 40% of their gross revenues globally has been certified as a B corporation. As I mentioned, demand is greater than ever as businesses come our way trying to fundamentally reshape who they are and what they do as an organization. And most importantly, they stand together to create collective action. 3 easy examples of our community stepping up include the We the Change movement. This is more than 500 women-led and women-owned businesses that have come together to advocate for women in business. In the lower right-hand corner, our community of certified B corporations in London came together during the Climate Week to stand with the climate strikers. They took over all of the tube stops and bus stops all over London with this ad. And then finally, most recently, with the severe unrest in Chile, the community of certified B corporations came together within 48 hours to make a declaration that they will not pay their CEOs more than 10 times the lowest paid individual at their firm. As a result, more than 1,200 companies came together to sign that pledge within a week. And as much as I am proud of the community and their collective action, truthfully, it's a means to an end. As I mentioned, they are our leaders of a broader movement. And the fundamental question for this collective group is, can we empower all businesses to be more like a B corporation? There are 2 tools that we use for scale, one of which is that legal framework I referred to during our conversation about the certification. In many jurisdictions across the globe, you can't just rewrite your corporate governing documents. It's in fact against current corporate law, and it requires legislation to create a new legally recognized corporate form, something called a benefit corporation. We have now passed that legislation 40 times. It has been passed in 37 states in the United States and 3 countries, Canada, Colombia, and Italy. It is moving forward in more than a dozen other countries, and we have now more than 10,000 benefit corporations across the globe. Other tool for scale is the impact assessment. It is a free public good that anybody can use to measure, manage, and improve their social and environmental performance. We now have over 100,000 companies that have accessed this tool as kind of a do-it-yourself consulting tool to improve their impact for all of their stakeholders. We work with over 100 partners who ask their constituents to use this tool, whether it be investors or supply chain decision makers or municipalities, or business associations. Most recently, we have worked to reframe our impact assessment around the SDGs, and with the UN Global Compact, we will be launching in January the SDG Action Manager. This is a tool that will allow tens of thousands of companies for free to measure, manage, and improve their performance towards the 17 SDGs. So the broader question that you might be asking is, that is all well and good, but why should I care about this movement? Well, the truth is the broader environment is coming our way. 80% of consumers now expect all businesses to be engaged in trying to improve societal issues. Those numbers increase when you talk about workers. 86% of workers now are looking for companies to have a purpose beyond just private wealth creation. That is being driven really by the younger generation. Millennials are expecting something more from their workplace. They're expecting both money and meaning out of their work. And in fact, that generation, which represents now more than 50% of the workforce, is about to inherit the greatest transfer of wealth in human history. $40 trillion are coming their way, and that money will be invested entirely differently than how their parents invested that capital. I can speak firsthand about why we are seeing organizations come this way. It has resulted in more resilient behavior out of our community of certified B corporations because they can attract and retain better talent, have stronger consumer loyalty, and have more access to capital. They end up being able to survive the volatility of markets as certified B corporations. This isn't just the right thing to do, it is a better way to do business. And truth be told, the broader business community is awakening to this broader effort. Perhaps you saw back in August of this year, the Business Roundtable announcing that they believe there is a new purpose for business. That business isn't just about maximizing returns for shareholders, that indeed it must consider all stakeholders in how it operates. Now, I am encouraged about this cultural shift. To have 181 of the world's largest corporations, including Apple and Amazon and JP Morgan, declare there is a different purpose for business, perhaps is a tipping point where more and more companies will be considering truly what the purpose of business is. But honestly, the time for announcements, declarations, and principles are behind us. We, immediately after the BRT announcement, with our community came together to take out a full-page ad in the New York Times, asking those organizations to put fundamentally their money where their mouth is and to take genuine action behind changing the purpose of their business, where they are legally accountable to all of their stakeholders, not just their shareholders. This effort in the New York Times was replicated by our partners all over the globe, and more than 1 billion people saw our encouragement to all businesses to get to work with us to create a shared and durable prosperity. Because at the core of this effort is redesigning business, moving us from a paradigm in the 20th century of shareholder capitalism to a 21st century paradigm of stakeholder capitalism. That there is a source code error in the corporation. That is shareholder primacy. That we have a corporate code that delivers value just to one constituency, when in fact businesses impact many, many stakeholders. This idea of upending shareholder primacy is at the center of a global movement. And we're just one small player of that global movement. The community of certified B corporations are part of thousands of nonprofits that are working together to try to really create a movement to use business as a force for good. And at the core is the idea of systems change. Moving from an old system where corporate purpose was whatever was legal to a new system where we're focused on what is responsible and sustainable. Where the first principle of business used to be maximizing return, but moving to one where we're preserving natural and social systems. Where we care for more than just shareholders, but also workers, customers, communities, and the environment. Where we manage both profits and impact. And at the core, we move a culture from one that is always seeking more to one that recognizes what is enough. That is the broader movement that we're trying to try to drive. And we hope that you are with us, that together we can create a movement that reduces inequality, alleviates poverty, rebuilds communities, and regenerates the environment. And together, we will indeed build a more inclusive economy. Thank you so much for having me today. Again, I am sorry I'm not with you in person, and I look forward to seeing you all soon.